welcome to my review of Halloween H20, 20 years later. Before we get into that, I have a couple things to talk about. First of all, I apologize for the lack of cinema conversation episodes this month, but that's only because we've been saving up for two very special Halloween episodes, our spooky season Halloween episodes. Which will be out in the next couple weeks. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Think about it like this, like NBC or ABC. They play Halloween specials, and sometimes you don't get to watch your favorite shows. But sometimes they do air Halloween episodes, and this is what we're kind of doing here. So yeah, that's just our heads up. So Halloween H20 picks up, ignores 4, 5, and 6 and continues into right after Halloween 2. Not right after like Halloween 2 did with Halloween 1, but of course 20 years later. Yeah. I sort of like this. Well, I love this movie. But like I feel like they could have stayed in continuity with the other movies, but what are you gonna do? It happened over 20 years ago. But anyway, grab your freaking pitchforks, cause I'm about to defend this movie for other reasons other than it has Jamie Lee Curtis in it. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get some things out of the way. I don't have nostalgia for this movie. I was born in 2005. This movie came out in 1998. You do the math. The first time I ever saw this movie in its entirety, I watched the kill count for it and I watched reviews for it, which, if you haven't, go check out James A. Janice's channel, Dead Meat. He has a great horror channel. But anyway, I first sat down and watched this movie in a hotel room in Pigeon Forge. Right about last Halloween. I went up there for my fall break, and we were just kind of sitting around the hotel room, so I decided to turn on this movie because it was on AMC, and I fell in love with it. And there's very specific reasons why. A lot of people, this was the first Halloween movie they saw in the theater. But I've yet to see a Halloween movie in the theater. So yeah, let's just get into it. Like last time, I will be using my notes, throughout this review, so yeah. First things first, I love the opening to this movie of, like, the leaves are on the ground, it's kind of gray, kids are carving a jack-o'-lantern and running around playing. They're excited for Halloween. Basically the best I can say. They're, getting excited for Halloween. And yeah, it sets a great atmosphere, especially with Mr. Sandman playing, letting you know that this was right after Halloween 2. And yeah, it's all around a great opening. And what makes it even better is bringing back Marion Chambers. Marion Chambers, in my opinion, Nurse Marion Chambers, is a very underrated character. I actually really like her. She smokes a lot. She's kind of a no-nonsense person. And yeah, it was a nice little addition to see her back. And she thinks that she's being broken into by a robber, and that's where we meet Joseph Gordon-Levitt in his first role in a movie, playing a kid who loves hockey, of all things. And so he goes in to check the house, and he looks around, and all he does is steal a couple of beers and accidentally mess up the kitchen. And that's where we get the humor part of this movie. The humor in it, I actually don't really mind all that much. A lot of people think it's a little cringy, but I actually rather enjoy it. I think we need more humor in Halloween movies. They tried to do something a little bit like it in Halloween 2018, but I think it was just better in this movie. Chase scene where Nurse Mary Chambers finally puts two and two together and finds out that Michael Myers has come back, and she runs through her house and runs across to the other house where we get one of the most creative kills in the series. This dude's Joseph Gordon-Levitt is sitting in a lazy boy with an ice skate in his face, like in his face. It's incredible. Then there's this stupid scene where this kid falls from a door, and it's just dumb. But then she goes to scream for the cops who had just gotten there, but it's too late, and Michael Myers slits her throat. And there's this really cool shot where the police are like 10 feet away, and Michael Myers is just able to drive by like that. And I think that sort of brings back the mystique of Michael Myers that, that was in Halloween 1 where the car can just be right behind them and they won't notice. That was a good scene. And I'm gonna defend something that a lot of people don't. I like the two detectives at the beginning of this movie, and I like their explanation for how Michael survived the fire. Never found his body. That, some people might think it's lazy writing. I'm not one of them. It's just said in a sort of lazy way. What does never found his body means? Well, presumably, after the fire in the hospital, when the police went back in there, they couldn't find Michael Myers' charred corpse, which presumably he just walked away. And that is really much maligned by the Halloween community, and I don't get it, because it sort of also adds to Michael Myers' mystique that he just burned in flames, at least 3,000 degree gas flames surrounding his body, and he just gets up and walks away like the end of the first movie. And I like the two detectives in this, because I think they're actually good characters for the little bit they're on screen. With the detective saying, "I was 15 when he killed his sister back in Haddonfield," and the other cop being like a smart aleck. They kind of got like a Riggs and Murtaugh thing going on. And that's where we get to the opening credits of this scene. Where we get to the opening credits, and I also really love this scene. These are the scenes that made me fall in love with this movie. Where we see newspaper clippings pretty much plastering the wall of the study. So let's get into it. Like I said, so in these, it's revealed that Loomis had been staying in the care of Marion Chambers until his demise a couple years before this movie, and that Laurie Strode died in a car accident, or faked her death in a car accident. And there's so many things, like there's magazine clippings of Psychology Review, and there's newspaper reports of the murders and the headstone robberies and the, files and police sketches. It really brings that sort of obsession with Myers, like, full circle. Not full circle, but, shows how obsessed Loomis was with finding Michael, but he never could because he died. I will say, having him die of a heart attack in the care of an old nurse is a little bit anticlimactic for Loomis. I will concede that. But I still love this scene to show that he just kind of show how much he was obsessed with Michael. And then we move to the summer going California on Halloween, where Laurie Strode is under the alias Carrie Tate, and she is hiding out as the headmistress of a prestigious boarding school in secluded California. Um, and I, in this movie, and especially the Halloween 2018, it has been criticized for their sort of portrayal of post-traumatic stress disorder. And as somebody who might have suffered very mild PTSD, I can tell you that these portrayals are actually very realistic. I won't go into why, but having nightmares and flashbacks and hallucinations um, of this horrible thing that happened to you. It's it's a very good portrayal of the sort of spiraling that one might do in this situation that Laurie was in. So yeah, I actually praise this movie for its portrayal of PTSD. Um, and her sort of spiraling into madness. The scenes at the school with the kids talking, people say it's too scream, but it is. It is. I'm not gonna argue that. But the dialogue in this movie is very um it's good. It's good. The conversations between, except for one, which we'll get to, Josh Hartnett and Jamie Lee Curtis are really good. The conversations between the kids are really good. They're really snappy. They're really snappy dialogue. Which is it should be. I love snappy dialogue, like Tarantino has, and yeah, this is one of the best examples of that, especially in the late '90s. The bathroom scene at a gas station is very suspenseful to me. Um, I don't know if people like it or don't like it, but the fact of this mother like fearing for her daughter as she's in the other stall, and this mysterious man breaks in, um, is I like it. I like it. It's not a great scene, but it's not bad by any means. Um, it's a good scene. I like it. And uh, LL Cool J's character, um, I actually really enjoy him. He's a nice character. He's a nice guy to the kids. Um, and he's just a really likable guy, and he's a romance novelist, an aspiring one at that. The security guard, and he's. I just like him as a character. He's just really fun to be around. Laurie Strode herself, excuse me. Laurie Strode and bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis. I actually really like that addition. Um, I I do. I like her character, the way she acts around people, and her son. After what she experienced, um, she's she's very three dimensional in her trauma. She's a very good character, and I can really appreciate the good writing that went into making a character like this. Um, and the fact that she's an alcoholic, uh, kind of, you know, it gives her imperfections. Uh, a lot of, you know, nobody is perfect, and this sort of gives her flaws. Um, but there were actually original drafts of the script where somebody, I think, has like forced dialogue all things done in moderation. But I think it sort of adds to her character of her sort of spiraling nature. But then we get to the classroom scene, um, where they talk about Frankenstein and confronting the monster, and Jamie Lee Curtis sort of has an aha moment about her having to confront her monster, and that's sort of the theme of the movie. Is that's really it, confronting the monster, um, before it's too late. And we all have those monsters in our life. It could be Michael Myers. It could be something else. That we all need to confront at one point or another, and especially if we created them. So and it sort of mirrors the first movies where they talk about fate, and it sort of leans towards Michael Myers is your fate. So yeah, I like that scene. People might say it seems forced, but I'm not one of them. The theme for this movie of this sort of amped up sort of score I enjoy. Sort of gives it a more creepy vibe. Every movie tries to change the theme in one way or another, but this movie is one of the better ways. And yeah, it's a good update to John Carpenter's score. The hallucinations are actually a really good part of the movie for me, of her thinking she sees Myers, and it sort of adds to that, is he there? Is it just an illusion? Sort of thing where you can never really tell if he's actually there or is she just dreaming it. And yeah, that sort of gives another layer to this movie. And then we get to the person which I like to call Discount George Clooney. He is the guy. He is Alan Arkin's son, Adam Arkin. He is played by him, of course. And he's like the guidance counselor, and he just seems like a nice, funny guy. I've known teachers like this who just is kind of laid back with his students. He makes jokes about getting his nipples pierced. It's weird. And he is kind of the laid back guy who wants to get with Jamie Lee Curtis. Don't we all? Just joking, of course. And yeah, he's just a really nice character, and I got really sad when he died, when they killed him off, spoiler alert. But it was nice that it kind of mirrored the Nurse Janet kill from, or maybe it was Nurse Jill, I can't remember, from the second one, of him lifting somebody up with a knife. So yeah, he was a really good character. I really liked him. Yeah. And anyway, guys, the kills in this movie are really good. Where he slits somebody's throat with a corkscrew. Where he lifts somebody up with a knife, like I said. Where he stabs someone a bunch of times and hangs them from a hanging light bulb, and then the light is inside her stomach. It's so funny. Not funny. So cool, I'd say. Michelle Williams in this movie is not a bad character. I actually kind of like her. As a character, she's smart. She's sort of the new Laurie Strode. She's just an all-around good character. A lot of people have criticized this movie for the setting. When at night with the street lights and the dark alleys, and it can actually look rather intimidating. Sort of ominous, if you will. It's all in execution, the way it's shot, edited. I always say that, like, edited. And the way it sort of looks. You can have, You know, it all depends on that. So, and you're not gonna like this. The Myers in this movie is not bad. I will even say he is at times scary. Sometimes he doesn't look like Myers. When he's doing a stabbing thing, he's like this. At some points, he doesn't seem like Michael Myers. It's hard to seem like Michael Myers. I will give them that. But you know, a good Myers is only as good as the person shooting it, the way it's lit, and the way it's shot. And at points, this Myers looks really scary. Like when he's walking down the hall like this, and he's sort of got that foreboding, formidable thing about him. When he's chasing after people, he's not a bad Myers. I've certainly seen worse in this series. So yeah, I gotta give him that. A lot of people don't like the Myers in this movie. They think that he's trying too hard to be scary. I think at some points he is very scary. It's just for some people, sometimes in this movie, the good outweighs the bad, if you know what I mean. Not if you know what I mean, if you see what I'm saying, is what I meant to say. The mask, I'll get to all the masks in a second. But the mask in this movie is it's not bad. It actually looks like the original one. You know, if you watch Dave McRae, which you should, he talks about this. You know, a good William Shatner mask doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to wear it, if you don't know how it's lit, or how to light it, how to shoot it, like how to, you know, how to make it look good. In this movie, you know, you can see his eyes and all that, which we'll get to, but all in all, it looks like a good Michael Myers mask. It does. And the ending battle between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers is actually rather good. Where, and another thing, it starts with her walking up the hill, and she's got an axe, and she's just ready to kick this guy who's been torturing her for the last 20 years ass. She's walking, she's moving with such anger and such control. And then she gets to the top of the hill, her shadow projecting down the hill, and this is where the confronting the monster comes in as the theme grows, and she yells, "Michael!" Not like that. I'm in the middle of a voice crack. I love it. I love it. This is why I fell in love with this movie. This is why I would rate it above movies. Like, I'm gonna have a rating, which, wait, I will release it on Halloween, of the entire Halloween series. But, this is why I would rate it above movies like Halloween 4 and Halloween 6. Because these things make the movie. And this movie has what those two don't, if you see what I'm saying. But then she's running around, and you know, she hits him over the head with a fire tank or something like a fire extinguisher, and then she starts throwing knives at him. But what ruins it is the stupid freaking scene where she kicks him in the balls, and then his eyes open like this. It's so stupid. The shape should not react to being kicked in the balls. There's an out of context quote for you. And then she comes from behind a curtain, stabbing him, and and then he's running after her, and she's hiding under tables, and he starts stomping on the tables, and then she gets upstairs, he starts stabbing him, and then he falls off the balcony, much like he did in the original, onto a table, and they think he's dead, but she wants to do it, and then Cool J stops her, and it's just all around a great scene. And then all the ambulance and police get there, so this kind of splices Halloween 1 and 2. They're sort of concepts of the happening in the aftermath of something like this. And then she takes a cop's gun, hijacks an ambulance, drives him out to a hill in the forest, and then almost tries to run him over. And then they fall down a hill. He is pushed up against a falling tree, and then he tries one last attempt to make peace. Laurie lets her axe down and then chops his freaking head off. And then sirens grow as a look on her face signals she has finally won. This movie's amazing. Little scenes like that can save a bad movie, in my opinion. If you have a bad movie but a good scene, it can make a subpar movie. This scene makes a good movie into a great one. I love it. And of course, they had to do the stupid freaking decision of retconning this entire thing in the next movie. But here, you know it's Michael Myers, and you know Laurie Strode won. But anyway, let's get into the mixed and the bad. I have one mixed on this. So in the opening credits, there's a yearbook page that says class of 1978, and Laurie Strode's picture is circled. My only problem with that is that the first movie takes place in October of 1978, so technically Laurie Strode would have been the class of 79. Just a little nitpick there. Let's get into some of the big problems with this movie. This is very Scream. What do I mean by that? This is very Scream, very I Know What You Did Last Summer, very The Faculty, very Urban Legend. Any movie that came out in the late '90s, this movie is kind of like to the point where like they watch Scream 2, which we'll get to in a second. They they play the Scream score at some point. There's a girl named Casey in this. And then Laurie says, I want you to go down the street to the Beckers. And he sort of has that Scream meta-ness of. It has so many freaking Psycho references because Jamie Lee Curtis and Janet Leigh are in the same movie. Like Janet Leigh says, if I could be maternal for a moment, her name is Norma. She drives the same car from Psycho. At one point, LL Cool J calls Jamie Lee Curtis a psycho. Um, it's I mean, I know there were scenes in the original with forced homages to other horror movies like The Thing from Another World or Psycho, but Halloween really has a patent for stealing things from things that stole from it. Um, you know, uh, Halloween came out, and then Friday the 13th came out, and it was a big hit. So Halloween, and it took from the first Halloween, and Halloween 2 came out, and it tried to take from Friday the 13th. And Scream, of course, took a lot from Halloween, and then Halloween H20 took a lot from Scream. And the whole kids hanging around in Southern California while somebody murders people. It just Halloween does not need to steal from Scream. That's not Halloween. It does not need to do that. And that doesn't really tarnish the movie all that much, but when it's there, you know it's there. So that's one of the things that was kind of off about it. And one thing that I don't like about this movie, and one thing that I don't like about this movie, they constantly, and I mean constantly, say that Laurie Strode is Michael Myers' brother. Or no, Michael Myers is Laurie Strode's brother. Excuse me. Like constantly, like as if it's trying to bang you over the head with names. It's like in Poltergeist 2, where they realized they never said the girl's name in the original, so like every 3 seconds they have to say, Carol Ann, Carol Ann. Um, it's it's stupid as all get out. I mean, it's okay. No, it's not. But if you want to, for her and him to be family, fine. But you don't need to remind us every 10 seconds. And this movie has like 18 different masks that they use. One they used in the first shoot before they did resets looked like a freaking alien, which they show her in their license from Halloween 5. One was a freaking CGI mask. What do you need a CGI mask? Um, and there were so many other ones. They even used the one from Halloween 6, but they didn't want to be connected to Halloween 6. Like that one was actually a really good mask. They just wanted nothing to do with that, huh? I suppose I can't stop. This movie, yes, there are some kids walking down the street in Halloween costumes. It has absolutely no fall atmosphere, and it it doesn't. Like I said, the setting can be very creepy at night, but that doesn't mean it feels like Halloween. This movie came out in the summer. It looks like it was shot in the summer, and yeah, that's about it. It looks like that's really the long and short of it. It looks like it was shot and released in the summer. That's not. It's called Halloween, guys. God, um, why can't you ever nail down the fall atmosphere? Uh, the Josh Hartnett in this movie and his in this sort of drama, it makes this to Dawson's Creek. A shining golden example of this is during the scene where they're in town and Laurie Strode starts asking or starts yelling at him for being out on Halloween, which he rightfully should. I mean, I don't get why Josh Hartnett is so mad at her on this scene. You know, he can just give her one day. And so and then he's doing his little. He's dead. Michael Myers is dead. Get over it. That's a terrible impression, but that's almost what he sounds like. And that's I hate that scene. Well, I don't hate it. I hate his acting and his lines in that. It helps him more connect to the second movie, which I appreciate, and it helps shows Laurie's like spiraling, which I appreciate. But Josh Hartnett's acting in that scene is not for me. Um, so I actually have a theory. Many have pointed out that in Scream they watch Halloween, and in Halloween H20 they watch Scream 2. I actually have a theory on this. This is my grand theory. Halloween and Scream take place in the same universe. That may not seem like too much of a shock, but think about it like this. what if in this world the movie industry is so obsessed making movies about real life serial killers that right after the Halloween murders they made a movie in 1978 called Halloween. That would be like the stab of the Halloween series, and that's why they're watching it in Scream. And then the first two Scream movies in this universe would actually be the stab movies that they're watching, and um, that's why Laurie Strode can say things like "drive down the streets of Beckers" because they could live right down the streets of Woodsboro. Think about it like that. I like it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think my theory is valid? Because it might not be a plot hole. It may have been planned all along, or they just wanted to add more freaking screen into this movie. And the characters, uh, the characters in this movie, they feel like stock characters though. Like you kind of like them, but you in all of these movies, you know they're there to up the body count, and that gets a little tiring. That you know these characters, even though they might have intended that there's no thought or effort put into making them three dimensional. They're just kind of two dimensional rowdy teens who want to go off and I don't know what to. You know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. It's just so it kind of sucks that you don't really care about these characters at all. And there's a voice actor in this movie for Donald Pleasance. Um, I don't get why you couldn't have just played the audio from the original movie. It's not like Halloween 2018 where they needed to say new lines. Why can't it just why can't you just play the original clips? He's saying the same lines from the original. Why did you need a voice actor? And the fact that you can see his eyes, I hate. Um, it's like they have the goal to play speeches like the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, but they don't really understand what it's saying. You're not supposed to see Michael Myers' eyes. He's supposed to be this face of blackness. Um, like I feel like you're just doing that for fan service, which you probably are. Um, but and the one last scene, or the one last thing I want to talk about, it's the scene where she wins the ambulance and then she stops and Michael Myers falls out of the car. It has been very hard to master the sit up for some of these movies of Michael Myers where he does his little. And they didn't even try. Like, and I know it's part of the whole twist in Halloween Resurrection where it turns out to be the paramedic, but we all know it's supposed to be Myers in the scene, and he's just like he's got like a belly going on, and he looks like he's exhausted. And this is not the Myers. This is not the shape. It's just the stupid. For lack of a better word. And yeah, that's about it for my negatives. So anyway, guys, this direct sequel to two horror classics, Halloween H20 20 years later, um, is definitely worth your time and worth your watch. It's less than 90 minutes. I highly recommend it this Halloween season. The good definitely outweighs the bad in this movie, and I hope that you fall in love with this movie just as much as I did watching it in the hotel room on your fall break in a state you don't even live in. So anyway, I give this movie a 4